Hello, Maddie here. I'm coming at you with a little bit of a different video that is a tangent off of a tangent of a video. So, Evan and I had a kind of like fun little Target adventure last weekend. And of course, we went to the book section. And in the book section, there was the webtoon True Beauty, which has been made into a TV show, which I have watched. It's a K-drama. I was like, how many books are there? Because, if it's like 5 books at $12 each, that's not nothing. But like, if it's worth it, it's worth it. But there are 16 books. So I was like, we're not even going to buy the first one because that's ridiculous. On top of that, it's a webtoon. Webtoon is like a literal actual site called Webtoon. And it has 223 episodes or chapters. I started it because I was like, I really like the show. Let's read it. Like, that sounds like a good time. I'm like 80 or 90 episodes in, and the main couple hasn't ever been together at all. It's like years later. She's dating this like second male lead. I looked up to see when do her and the main guy actually get together, and it's like not for so much longer. And like even from there, it's tumultuous until they're like actually together. And I was just like, I don't want to do that with my time. Like, there's so many other things I'd rather do with my time. So what this week turned into, because the webtoon is 223 chapters, and I'm not going to get it read before this video goes up, or maybe anytime soon, I want to talk about the fact that you do not have to finish every single book that you read. You don't need to finish every single series that you read. Some of them are worth slogging through, some of them are not. So how are you supposed to figure out which ones are and aren't worth your time? Now, there are very few like individual books that I haven't finished. If it's like a standalone novel, I will probably finish it. I honestly can't even think of any off the top of my head. I know there are books I haven't finished, but they're just so few and far between that I'll usually get through it, because I am also really picky about the way that I pick books. Being, I have trusted authors and genres that I have, but I've talked about this before. Goodreads is an amazing resource. I typically don't get books that are rated under a 4.0 unless it's from an author I really like, or I'm actually really interested in like what the topic is or like the storyline. But if it's kind of like a standard Maddie cutesy story and it's under 4.0, I'm like, what I like is already so basic that I'm like, it needs to be rated well. So that helps. I've gotten very good at honing in on books that I will like and I will enjoy. And I've gotten a lot better at not picking up books I'm not going to finish. The same cannot be said for series. There's a reason I don't read that many series, because it's not that it's hard to hold my attention. It is hard for authors to write a story that is engaging enough for me to want to read about it for that long. Because I need my full circle story, beginning, middle, end, conflict resolution. I need that pretty quickly. And if it takes too long to get there, I have a hard time staying engaged, because I'm like, I just want them to be happy. And they're not happy for another like 2 books. I can only think of one series that I've finished that I like genuinely regret it. That's the Divergent series, which is like such a bummer because the first book is so good. Her world building is amazing. Her character development, you can see the possibilities of this world. And like the second book, basically nothing happens the entire time. And then the third book, it just gets horrible and awful and the worst. And literally I got to the end of the third book and I was like, that was a legitimate waste of my time. And so, fun fact, my like litmus test to whether or not I will trust your book recommendations is whether or not you like the Divergent series. I'm not even kidding. Kind of a handful of series that I never finished was I started the Traitor Kiss, not Traitor Kiss, that's a good series. Traitor Queen series, and the first book's amazing. Second book is pretty meh. I started reading the third book. It looked like it was all not going to go the way that I wanted, and I was like, So, if a book starts showing signs that I might not like the way that it ends, I don't read the ending. I simply flip to the back, make sure their names are present so I know that they're alive. Does not matter. You kill my characters, I'm not going to like the book. It's pretty much like cut and dry, plain and simple. So if a book starts going the way I don't think I want it to, I will flip to the end to make sure they're alive. That happened with this series. Like I said, I loved the first book. The first book was really, 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 really good. Second one was very, very mediocre. It was not very good. And then the third book, I was like, I'm not confident where this is going. And so I flipped to the end, and I guess this video should have a spoiler alert with it. But it didn't end the way that I wanted, and I was like, well, I don't feel the need to finish this because right now everybody is alive. They might not be happy, but they're alive. So we're just gonna stop that. The other series that comes to mind is The Program. I'm not even sure I finished the first book. It's one of those dystopian futures where like emotion is bad, and like so people are hyper vigilant with like depression and like, showing signs that you might be like suicidal and stuff. So The Program is, basically a thing you can get sent to if you don't have a good handle on your emotions. So it's lots of like teenagers who don't have a good handle on their emotions because they're teenagers. And I literally don't even know if I finished the first book because I think I got like 2/3 or 3/4 through it, and I was like, not that I didn't think that book was going the way that I wanted to, but it looked very much like the series was not going to go the way that I wanted to. And I was like, let's just kind of skip around this story and see what happens. And I was like, the kind of funny thing is it wasn't that people died. It was that I did not care. They were just teenagers being and feeling teenager-y things. The program itself wasn't anything like totally different from other dystopian things we've read about emotions or watched about emotions and, how they need to be schooled and whatever. And so it was mostly just annoying and very bland. And while I probably wouldn't have gotten to the end and been like major regrets about my time, it's like I'd rather have spent my time reading something else. So I did. So there's different reasons to not finish a book. Sometimes it is because the story's not going the way that you want it to, and to keep yourself from getting depressed, which is why I stopped reading. But there's also the other books that it's like they're just maybe not well written, not good character development. You need really, really good world building. And that's what Divergent did so good. Her world building in that first book was amazing. It was absolutely incredible with the different like factions and these different kind of ideas and concepts about, kind of the molds people fit into. So fascinating, so interesting. I thought it was awesome. And I was so stoked to read the next 2 books. And I could not have been more disappointed. Sometimes I am and sometimes I'm not what I call a completionist. I don't actually know if that's a real thing or not, but it's my term for someone who like must finish the book, must finish the series, whether that be books or even like TV shows. It's like I have to watch every episode. I have to read every single book. Even if I'm not enjoying myself, I have to complete the story. And I was like that. And then I realized how much time and emotions I was wasting on characters that weren't worth it. And I was like, why would I do that when there are literally too many books to read in a lifetime? Why waste my time on books that either I'm going to get to the end with my emotions wrecked, or I'm going to get to the end and be like, okay, so that's just kind of my thoughts on that. I'm not a completionist. I can be every once in a while with like certain things. I'm a huge fan of Lord of the Rings. I've read the books, the original 3 books, many times. I've seen only the extended editions many times. I refuse to watch the theatrical cuts because I've only ever seen the extended editions, so I'm a little bit of a snob about it. However, I have never read The Hobbit or The Silmarillion. I feel like I can't call myself a true Lord of the Rings fan if I have not read The Hobbit and The Silmarillion. I own copies of both of those books. I have not read either of them. So I feel a little bit like an imposter by saying I'm a Lord of the Rings fan when I haven't read every single word Tolkien ever wrote about it. But I also very much trust Tolkien. I very much love the world that he's built. And even if I don't absolutely love those books, I love that world. So it almost doesn't matter because I trust the author and I love the world. So I want more of it. I want more of it. And that's what I get from The Hobbit and The Silmarillion. The other side of that being, authors do kind of need to prove themselves. Even if they're not writing at their best, they can create a world and they can create characters that you know and love so much that it almost doesn't matter what they write. You're going to read it anyways. I feel like this is case in point, but it's just like a personal case in point example. Harry Potter. Amazing series. There are 7 books in that series. Do you know how many people have read those books more than once? I had friends in high school that were not readers. They wouldn't touch books, wouldn't pick up books, wouldn't even read the books for school. But they had read the Harry Potter series many, 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 many times, which is great. They're good books. But I think this is because I read them older and not as they were coming out. The 5th book is not good. Order of the Phoenix is super slow. It's very boring. It took me 2 years to read it because I was reading it off and on. And not even diehard, but really enthusiastic Harry Potter fans that I have talked to love that book. Some of them, it's their favorite. That is because they know and love those characters and that world so much that for them, it's not dry like it was for me. Because I really enjoy that world. It's a fun world, but I wasn't as invested. I didn't really care to know all the ins and outs and the nitty gritty detail. I was like, let's just get on with it. But the people that know and love and trust the author and the world they've created, it doesn't matter. It's still good. And so there's so many facets as to why you would or wouldn't finish a series, why you would or wouldn't even just pick up a book. With this, I mainly want to encourage you to just pick something up because even if you don't finish it, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. It doesn't mean anything to you as a reader. And it also doesn't necessarily mean anything against the book. It's just not your cup of tea. And there is nothing wrong with that. It is totally fine to not like classics. Personally, I cannot stand Wuthering Heights. Cannot stand it. I knew it was a classic. I read it in college and I was so excited. I was this is such a classic. I've heard so much about it. I'm so excited to add it to my repertoire of books I've read. I read it and I was this is the stupidest thing. Why is this book a classic? These characters are obnoxious and annoying. The storyline sucks. Everybody's toxic. Why is this a thing? If you haven't read Wuthering Heights, I will in no way hold it against you. And so this whole video is literally to tell you, don't feel guilty about not finishing a book. Don't feel guilty about not finishing the series. It does not mean any less of you as a reader in any way, shape, or form at all. But it's also one of those things where there's times in your life where you don't have the time, the energy to commit to a story. So you need something either, lighter or shorter or something you've read before. You can't dive into this entire deep world of characters and stories. And so there's nothing wrong with not being able to finish something because maybe you'll get around to finishing it later and maybe it's not worth your time. I've had both of. There's been books I genuinely want to give the time to this, so I'm going to put it to the side until I have the time to genuinely dive into it and enjoy it. And then, like I said, there are books that I just put to the side and I have no desire to even pick them up enough to realize, to know why I stopped reading them. But that's just my thoughts on that. This sounds both super book snobbish and also super book everyone's a reader. You can be a reader if you want to, which is more the vibe I'm going for. I hope this doesn't come across snobby because that's not the point. It's to show that even somebody who loves books, who calls themselves a reader, doesn't always finish them. That is the whole point of this. Because like I said, I started that webtoon and I will maybe one day finish it. Maybe. But I don't feel bad about it. because I'm reading stuff that I am enjoying. I'm spending my time on things that I enjoy spending my time on. And so to feel guilty about spending my valuable time on something I'm not enjoying, you shouldn't have to justify that. That's literally all this is to say, because high school Maddie would have been like, not panicking, but she would have been like, but why not? Like, it's a book, it must be worth reading. You know, people enjoy it for a reason. Not everybody enjoys every book, and that's fine. That's honestly how it's supposed to be. If everybody enjoyed every single book, then either we would all be the same or it'd all be the same book. It'd have to be one of those two things. And I'm glad that there are so many different genres. I'm glad there are so many different kinds of readers. I'm glad there are so many different ways to enjoy content, because there are so many interesting characters out there. There's so many interesting stories out there. There's so many things worthy of your time, energy, and emotions. So don't waste your time on the stuff that's not. That book sucks, put it down. That show sucks, stop watching it. That movie's not good, turn it off. And spend your valuable time on something that's worth it. On a show that you do want to finish. On a book you do want to finish. On a movie you do want to watch the end of, because you want to know what happens, because you care about the world, you care about the characters. It's really as simple as that. Why waste your time on things that don't add value to your life? And the value could literally be, oh, I feel happy now. Or, oh, that made me think. Or, oh, I got to experience this adventure. Or, oh, I got to learn something new. The value isn't a one-size-fits-all. It's not a, you must get this one thing out of everything that you consume in your life. For me personally, just to like kind of go full circle, give an example, for me to add value to my life, it needs to basically keep me safe in terms of emotions. I need to get to the end, feeling good, getting my couples together, you know, having the conflict resolved, the battle won, whatever. That's what adds value to my life. Something that makes me relax and makes me happy, makes me feel good. That's not to say that my entire books are good, because, you know, there's got to be conflict, there's got to be tension, there's got to be things that have to be solved for every good story. But the books that I love and recommend, I feel you can get to the end of it having felt like it was a good use of your time. Like, comment, subscribe. All of those things are super duper wonderful and awesome. I need to like turn on some sort of notification or something, because people commented on my last video. I was like, I'll give everyone a personal comment. And I didn't know that people commented. So they got like days later got responses. So we're going to work on that, because I do want to encourage you to comment, because I very much appreciate it. It makes me super duper happy. Even the really small short comments, it all makes me really happy. And it completely makes my day to know that you watched my video and thought it was compelling enough to leave a comment. Read books. Don't read books that aren't worth your time. Don't do it. Don't feel guilted into reading books that aren't worth it. And even if you like books that I think aren't worth it, like Wuthering Heights, there is literally nothing wrong with liking Wuthering Heights. Nothing at all. But know the books that are worth your time to you personally, because that's what matters. Because you're the person that has to spend your time. All of it. So make it count in a way that you feel it counts. Not by some weird standard of anybody else. Because like I said last time, you're the only person who has to live your entire life. It's just true. So with all of that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you have a great night, a great week, a great weekend, a great month, a great year. I hope you have all of the greats, because you're truly worthy and deserving of them. So until next time.